I've poached a young, highly educated person, so you're no longer needed.
A new department director who told me and laughed at me. I've worked hard for this company for 10 years. Am I being fired because I don't have a high degree?
Understood. If he's getting fired, I'll take him under my wing.
When I was in the midst of my disappointment, my business partner told me so. And then she took me to the place and someone showed up.
Long time no see, naughty boy.
I'm Kenny. I was a high school graduate and worked for a company. The reason I chose to be a high school graduate was related to a certain person.
Kenny is kinda cocky.
What did you say?
Yay, it's just not fun with Kenny around.
Back in high school, I had some trouble in my club activities, which made it hard to attend school for a while. Moreover, at that time, I didn't have anything I wanted to become. So I didn't have a university I wanted to attend, and I often argued with my parents about it.
You're our child. You should aim for a prestigious university.
What's the point of going to a prestigious university?
Just do as I say.
Living like that, I got fed up with everything. Feeling out of place both at school and home, I went to the school's rooftop to blow off some steam. What?
Who could that be?
There was already someone there.
Aren't you Kenny, the troublemaker?
The person already there was the English teacher, Mrs. Nancy Smith. She looked surprised for a moment at my appearance, but then burst into laughter. I was taken aback by her presence, but her smile made me relax.
You haven't submitted your career preferences, got into trouble in the club activities, and now you're on the off-limits rooftop.
You're on the off-limits rooftop as well, aren't you?
I'm allowed because I'm a teacher. Besides, I wanted to see the sky. The staff room feels suffocating.
I retorted to the teacher, and that was her response. Then, we had some light-hearted conversation. Suggestions for the next lesson, stuff about club activities, talks that had nothing to do with me, and gradually, I felt more at ease.
By the way, what do you want to do in the future?
At that question from her, I couldn't answer anything. What is my dream for the future? I'm struggling because I don't know.
I think I'd be better in sales or something rather than teaching.
Leaving me aside, Mrs. Smith started talking.
Look, if you don't have something you want to do, why not just get a job or start a business? You don't seem like someone who'd work well under others. You'd be suited for entrepreneurship.
What a reckless thing to say. Yet, it was enough to clear the cloudiness in my heart. My parents tell me to study and become a public officer, and my homeroom teacher says I'll end up a foolish adult if I don't go to university. But I could take Mrs. Smith's words to heart more than theirs.
Right, I might quit teaching and start a business. Let's see who can earn more in the future.
That was Mrs. Smith's suggestion. Even though I thought it was foolish, my heart felt the clearest it ever had. Starting a business, huh? Even after returning home, I kept pondering Mrs. Smith's words. It's not that I don't want to study. However, I can think of a reason why I must continue studying. I felt more suited to having a rival and striving together, as Mrs. Smith suggested, rather than studying aimlessly. If I tell it as it is, my parents would surely oppose it. My parents won't understand me. Therefore, I didn't tell my parents and instead wrote employment on the school's career preference survey. And to be prepared for any probing from my homeroom teacher or parents, I decided to look for companies that hire high school graduates.
Why not start a business?
Mrs. Smith made it sound trivial, but I thought I should first experience society. My homeroom teacher reacted just as I expected upon seeing my survey.
There's a limit to what companies will hire a high school graduate.
But that's my preference. The homeroom teacher clearly looked down on me. Then, the homeroom teacher called my parents to the school.
What are you thinking? You shameless fool.
I can't believe you are this foolish.
I thought you were a troublemaker, but I didn't realize you were so thoughtless.
I was subjected to what could be taken as verbal abuse from my parents and my homeroom teacher. But out of defiance, I vowed to work and succeed just to prove them wrong. It's my life. I'll do what I want. In the end, I didn't back down and got a job right after graduating high school. Then, I moved out and started living on my own. After that, I never saw my parents again, nor did I feel the desire to. I feel kind of liberated. I didn't feel lonely at all.
You really took that step. Maybe I should too.
Mrs. Smith said that to me when I was graduating. After that, I worked desperately. Even though it was my choice, I felt somewhat inferior for only having a high school diploma. In an era where a university degree is the norm, being a high school graduate was something that attracted attention, for better or worse. Why didn't you go to university or vocational school? My colleague would ask me that. In response, I always gave vague answers. People around me speculated. He must come from a poor family that needed him to work immediately, and they sympathized with me based on their assumptions. I dislike being pitied or favored by those around me. Let's just focus on the work. If I could produce results at work, I believe that others would recognize me as a competent individual. With that thought, I decided to give my all. Before I knew it, 10 years had passed since I joined the company. Now, hardly any employees look at me with pity.
Kenny, you're always working hard, I see.
You're really reliable.
Thank you. From my early days, working hard and taking the initiative in tasks gained me support from my colleagues. My 10 years of diligent work were recognized not only within the company, but also by our business partners.
It was right to trust Kenny. Working with you is reassuring.
I received praise as well.
Kenny is quick and thorough with his work. It's a pleasure to work with him.
Especially Jessica, the sales manager from a partner company, praised me a lot. She seemed much more mature than me, but I couldn't quite believe the rumors that she was the same age as me. I'm honored to hear you say so much.
Kenny, you're really hardworking. I'd like you to come work for our company.
She shared my interest in anime, which made us get along well, and we even went out for drinks privately. While drinking, we talked about our favorite things. I liked those moments, but it wasn't all good.
Don't get too cocky, you high school grad loser.
I would like to think that the 10 years had finally paid off, but there was one concerning person among the employees. It's the new director, James. The director is an academicist who has his own value system. The more educated, the better, and the less educated, the incompetent. From James' point of view, I was a piece of trash.
Hey, useless one.
He would call me that, never by my name.
Go buy coffee for me. Even someone as useless as you can manage that.
Moreover, James would order me to do menial tasks, not even acknowledging me. Even when others from different companies praised me, he would say,
"Did you offer them to sleep your way to the top? You must be tough being incompetent. You go to lengths."
In front of other employees, he hurled such terrible slander at me. I have pride in my 10 years of service. However, as he pointed out, I didn't have a higher education. James, please judge me based on my current performance.
The fact that you're undereducated is the truth. If you want me to acknowledge that, at least go to university.
Even when I expressed my thoughts, being talked down to about my educational background left me without a retort. As a result, I could only keep my frustration to myself, sighing in dismay. One day, Jessica came to our company for a business meeting. "Sorry, it seems I forgot some documents. I'll fetch them right away."
It's okay. No rush. Take your time.
I thanked Jessica, who smiled and forgave me as I hurried back to my desk for the documents. As I was about to return to her, "I need to hurry."
Whoa.
In my haste, I didn't notice James drinking coffee around the corner and accidentally bumped into him. "I'm so sorry." I had to return to Jessica, so I quickly apologized and ran off.
That bastard.
I didn't realize until the end that James was glaring at me with anger. After the meeting, Jessica and I were chatting as we walked her to the entrance of the company.
Hey, incompetent.
Then, from behind, James called out to me, "James."
What was your attitude earlier?
"I'm very sorry about earlier. I was in a hurry because of the meeting." I quickly sensed what he wanted to say and apologized to him. However, he seemed angry about how I acted when I bumped him and couldn't contain his anger.
I don't like it when someone thinks a mere sorry is enough after bumping into their boss. I don't need employees who can't respect their superiors, meeting or not. It's wrong for someone with your low education to act so high and mighty.
In front of Jessica, James was yelling at me. When I glanced at Jessica, she was frowning and looking at James.
You're fired. I've tolerated you until now, but I can't stand it anymore. Pack your things and get out.
Wait a minute. I've been working here for a long time, and to be fired just because I bumped into you once. I objected to his abrupt dismissal, not caring how Jessica looked at me. But that only made him angrier.
Just because you bumped into me once. Are you mocking me with your low education? That's why you're losing your job. I've already poached someone with higher education, so you're unnecessary.
This can't be. We argued for a while, but he had the upper hand in terms of power. As I became increasingly disheartened, James smiled smigly.
I've poached a young, highly educated person, so you're no longer needed.
Hearing this again made me slump in defeat. Were my 10 years all for nothing? That's when I thought so.
Excuse me for a moment.
Jessica, who had been quietly listening to our conversation, interjected. At that, James looked puzzled.
Please stay out of this. You're an outsider.
So, you're firing him because his attitude towards you wasn't good, even though he's been with this company for 10 years and has an excellent work record. Is that the kind of company this is?
Ignoring James's words, Jessica pressed on. I could only watch in silence.
You are the sales manager of another company, so please don't try to interfere with us like a big shot.
Understood. If he's going to be fired, I will take him in.
What did you just say? Surprised, I looked at Jessica, and James looked even more shocked.
Is it up to you to decide that?
Then, please pack your things quickly and come to our company.
Ignoring the flustered James, she urged me on. Compelled by her, I headed to my desk to pack my belongings.
Please consider all the business deals you were advancing as null. Once he joins us, everything will be resolved. I will inform your president of this, including what happened here.
Hearing that the deals would be canceled and that the president would be informed, James turned pale.
Wait, hold on. All right, your firing is canceled.
Ignoring him, Jessica firmly pushed me forward. After discussions, including with our president, it was decided that I would join Jessica's company, pulled away from the one I had served for 10 years. James's actions led to the loss of significant business and faced tremendous repercussions from the executives.
You could probably get a good settlement if you had evidence.
That's all right, thank you, I said with a wry smile to Jessica's words. I had endured terrible treatment from him, but just being freed from it was enough for me.
If Kenny joins our company, James is going to be in big trouble anyway.
What do you mean by that?
Don't worry about it. You'll find out soon enough.
While I was packing, my colleagues approached me. They apologized for not being able to cover for me and gave me encouragement to do my best in the next company. I thanked them and changed jobs. Jessica, I would like to thank the president. Later, I told Jessica that I wanted to thank the president. In fact, right after being recruited, I had asked her, "Is it okay without the president's approval?"
It's fine, don't worry.
Jessica reassured me in response to my question. I expressed my desire to meet the president.
That's when the president has time.
Jessica replied to me. So, she took care of all the paperwork and formalities. I really want to meet the president soon.
All right.
She finally seemed willing to arrange the meeting. With a slightly absent-minded smile, Jessica led me to the president's office. There, the president was waiting.
It's been a while, hasn't it, naughty boy? You've grown up quite a bit.
The person greeted me with a grin, a voice and manner I felt I recognized.
This is President Nancy Smith.
Jessica introduced her. In that moment, a flood of distant memories came back to me. During high school, amid career concerns and discord with my parents,
Why not start a business?
she was the teacher who casually suggested. Thanks to those simple conversations on the rooftop, I was able to take my first step into society. She was my benefactor, the one who shaped who I am today. And there she was, Mrs. Smith, right in front of me. Mrs. Smith, why are you here?
Oh, it's nothing much. I told you at the graduation ceremony, didn't I, that I needed to take a step forward too.
Mrs. Smith answered my question with a laugh.
After you graduated, I quit teaching and started this company. I always knew I wanted to do something, but when I saw you take the first step, I knew I had to step up too, even though I'm older.
She explained that to me and then pointed to Jessica, saying,
She's my daughter, same age as you. She opposed me more than anyone when I first mentioned starting a business. It's quite sad to be so negatively received by your own family.
Of course, she quit her job the moment I graduated from high school. And Dad was like, if Nancy thought it through, it's going to be all right. So nonchalant.
The two started arguing in front of me. A typical parent-child squabble, different from the composed Mrs. Smith or the manager Jessica I knew. Watching this scene made me smile. They looked at me. Their expressions seemed somewhat embarrassed. You really took that step you talked about back then, and thank you for saving me. I thanked Mrs. Smith.
You actually went out into society and served well for 10 years. The reason we continued business with that company was because of you. It was only natural for me to employ you if they were going to let you go.
Just as my mother told me, you worked hard and dedicated yourself fully. That's why the business continued. It wasn't because I had a special view of you.
Mrs. Smith and Jessica both kindly assured me. My 10 years at that company were not in vain. I had never worked hard just for praise. But I was deeply grateful that there were people who saw and helped me.
Your behavior saved you,
Mrs. Smith said, bringing tears to my eyes. Since then, I've been working hard to contribute to the company of Mrs. Smith and Jessica, who saved me. Later, when I visited my client, they said,
I wanted to sign the contract because Kenny was in charge. That's why I want to sign with Nancy's company now.
We ended up getting new contract under better terms than my previous company. Thanks to this, our company's performance has been on the rise. While my former company has been declining, the high-educated individual James had poached turned out to be incompetent, often upsetting clients and causing trouble for James, as I was informed by a former colleague.
They're talking about demoting him soon to take responsibility.
The former colleague, who is also planning to change jobs soon. The situation had escalated to this point largely because the president had neglected James's actions. James was the president's favorite, and the president at that time was under his thumb.
Why do you think he was in such a place during working hours on the day that led to Kenny's job change?
When I was asked that question, I remembered that while everyone was at their desks or out for business, James was drinking coffee in a discreet spot.
He was shirking his duties onto those with less education and slacking off.
So that's why he was there. It turns out, James often slacked off there, not just on that day. I happened to pass by in a hurry and bumped into him.
The president overlooked this too. Everyone's preparing to leave because they don't want to be in such a place anymore.
It seems that the competent executives are going independent, and many employees plan to follow them. I didn't expect things to escalate this much, but it turned out for the better. I expressed my encouragement to the former colleague and said goodbye. Years have passed since I joined Nancy's company. Jessica and I had become a couple.
Well, it's natural for young people who are together to end up this way,
Nancy said, smiling happily at us. Working under my benefactor and having a special someone, I felt the happiest I've ever been.
We need to say hello to your parents.
Jessica mentioned, causing mixed feelings in me. I haven't been in touch with my parents since graduating from high school. I was cut off from my parents. To think of introducing someone I'm dating with the intention of marrying to such parents seemed impossible. My parents,
If you're going to meet his parents, maybe I should come along. Yes, that's best. Besides, I was the one who saved him. There might be some thanks in it for me.
Initially reluctant to introduce her daughter to my parents, Nancy began to set up a meeting casually. Seeing this, I reluctantly informed my parents about the meetup. Time passed, and when the scheduled hour arrived, my parents showed up at the designated place. It's been a while. I saw my parents for the first time in a long time and got a little excited. It's been more than 10 years since I left home after falling out with my parents. I did have nostalgic memories. Smiling, I greeted them, and my parents responded,
You haven't changed much, have you?
Right, you haven't changed.
they said without looking me in the eyes. At that moment, I didn't think anything was amiss.
Thank you so much for taking care of our foolish son.
My parents said to Nancy and Jessica. I felt a bit uncomfortable with the term foolish son, but thought it might just be their way of speaking modestly, and I led everyone into the restaurant Nancy had arranged. The dinner was going smoothly, and everyone had started to drink.
It's such an honor to have your distinguished daughter choose our son. He left home without listening to anything we said. We thought he might end up nowhere.
My mother began to say. Then my father continued.
This guy, not going to university after high school and just getting a job, did something only a fool would think of. I suppose his salary is still low. He must be starting to realize I was right. That's why he contacted us.
They started belittling my career like that. I wanted to stop them, but couldn't find the words. Jessica, despite the earlier conversation, was just giving a forced smile.
He's desperately living his life in his own incompetent way. I don't know what company he joined, but I'm sure it's not a great one, since they hire people like him.
In the next moment, Nancy splashed water on my parents. My parents were taken aback, and Jessica and I were too stunned to react quickly.
I've reached my limit of patience. Listening to you two speak makes my meal taste bad. It's astonishing how much you can badmouth your own son. In a way, I'm impressed. You have no right to ridicule his initiative.
Nancy spat out. At that, my parents' faces turned red with anger.
Who do you think you are?
Just the president of the not-so-great company that took in your supposedly good-for-nothing son. Please, take note.
Nancy said this to my angry parents, put down her business card, and looked at us.
Let's go have another drink.
She then led us out of the restaurant.
I did something too much earlier, so I'll pay here.
And we went into Nancy's favorite pub and had to drink again. Checking my phone briefly, I saw messages from my parents.
What's the meaning of this? Explain us.
My father had sent me a message. Nancy spoke the truth. I replied before turning off my phone.
I'm sorry, Kenny.
No, don't worry about it. I had forgotten. My parents never really saw me. Ever since, my parents had insisted they were right, which led them to pressure me about my education.
Kenny, I like you just the way you are now.
I know. I truly believe I did the right thing by not following their path. Meeting with my parents might have been a good thing after all. It reminded me of the value of having people who understand me.
I thought perhaps it could deepen the family bond, but with such parents, it's better to stay away.
Nancy remarked when we got back to the company. Her words made me realize that I had shared the details with Jessica, but not with Nancy. Given her free-spirited nature as a former teacher, she probably never inquired about my family situation. I think so too. If I had stayed with those parents, I would have ended up like James. I would have become someone who easily disrespects others. I was somewhat fortunate to have distanced myself from such parents early on. By the way, was there a reason you left your business card?
Oh, that was so if you ever want to reconcile with your family, or if they reach out, they'd know the company name, and it would be easier to contact.
That remark made me think of my parents' faces when they belittled me. It was awful. Later, when I turned my phone back on, the messages had turned into insults like disgrace to the family and you're just a fool. Seeing that, I honestly couldn't imagine a day when we could reconcile.
It might be like that now. I certainly don't want to get close to your parents either.
Nancy also had a bad impression of my parents.
But having the willingness to make amends is necessary to survive in society.
I thought about that and agreed. Just because we don't get along or dislike each other doesn't mean we can avoid interaction.
But that doesn't mean you should sacrifice your well-being.
What do you mean?
If you had stayed with your parents, you might have broken down eventually. That's why the decision you made back then was wise.
Nancy said with a gentle smile. I smiled back at her. Yes, I am who I am today because of that decision. Hopefully, we can understand each other someday.
I hope for that too.
Nancy agreed. I nodded, trying not to let the tears fall. Some time later, Jessica and I got married. We didn't invite my parents to the wedding. They would probably get drunk at the ceremony and ruin it by belittling me. I have them blocked on my contacts for now. Maybe someday, if we can reconcile, we might be able to have a relationship as a family. When that time comes, I'll have them say I'm a proud son.
That's right.
Jessica said, laughing as I stroked her belly. Now she has our child in her belly. We plan to give our child a future full of freedom, just like Nancy and me. I want our child to try various things, but sometimes someone needs to be there to say stop.
That'll be my role.
Jessica said so with a laugh, and I felt incredibly happy during this moment. There are people in the world who just can't understand each other. People like me and Nancy prefer to move freely without being confined by conventions. Others, like James and my parents, stick to conventional norms. The important thing is to care for others and not to deny their farts. Making an effort to understand each other is necessary for living in society. However, it's counterproductive if trying too hard breaks one's spirit. If understanding each other is impossible, keeping a distance is also necessary for survival. This experience has made me acutely aware of that. In fact, being away has allowed me to live these peaceful and happy days.
I wonder what paths our child will choose.
With our kid being their grandchild, it's unpredictable. We've got a baby boy. We will let him choose his path. I'll give him as much love and support as I didn't get. Jessica and I have made that promise.
By the way, my mom said she's coming to see her grandchild.
Is that so? Then we'll have to give her a grand welcome. I have a precious family that understands me. Thanks to their presence, I keep smiling from the bottom of my heart today.